Hi, good evening. Awesome. So my people on Instagram, welcome. How is your weekend going? So I'll be having a session today on Zoom, so I decided to carry along my social media community along. And that's why I'm having this particular session. Okay, so let's stay tuned. We'll be shooting from the dot of 6 p.m. Nigerian time. So thank you for joining. If you are hooking up right now, tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. OLADIPUPO CLEMENT is online. Okay, so yeah. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. If you can hear me loud and clear on Zoom, could you please type 1 in the chat room? Type 1 in the chat room. Those of you joining me on Instagram, thank you for joining. Adeola, Adeafolayan, thank you for joining. Queen Adegbola, thank you for joining. Avia Property, thank you for joining on Instagram. Those of you on Zoom, thank you for joining. We'll be starting on the dot of 6 p.m. All right, so thank you. All right, so that means you can hear me loud and clear. Excellent. Okay. All right, so it's 6 p.m. on the dot, and thank you all for joining once again. Without further ado, so let me just welcome you all specially with the chat with CEO Kotsi Lifepage Group. I decided to just carry my social media community along. That's why I'm streaming live at OLADIPUPO Clem on Instagram. So just in case you are joining us on this platform right now, and you are not following me on any of the social media platforms, you will do well to do so as well. If you can hear me loud and clear on Zoom, please let me know. If you can't, let me know as well. If you can hear me, type 1. If you can't hear me, type 2. If you can hear me, type 1. If you can't hear me, type 2. So that I have different network service providers I can quickly switch to, just in case the network isn't clear on my end. All right, so thank you once again for joining. We're looking at how to the 4 components of wise investments today. This chat with CEO is meant to be very brief and to also give us heads up into the services that Lifepage Group also renders. And so that's part of it. A good number of us here on this platform joined us for the Global Wealth Creation Summit that ended, that we had in March 27th to be precise. I want to plead, Emmanuel, can you please apologize. Quite a number of people are not so familiar with the use of social media of Zoom, and so sometimes people may be in transit, and they, rather than mute their phones, they won't, and that somewhat distracts everybody else. So Emmanuel, please can you do the needful and please coordinate that back end so that whoever can constitute a distraction to the class, please mute them. So please do that, please, right away. Thank you. Okay, so Emmanuel, you are doing the wrong thing. You have to identify where the noise is coming from, and you mute. You don't mute everybody, please. Okay? All right, so that's just so we just so we don't you don't mute me as well, because that's exactly what you just done a few times now. All right, so this thing I'm about to share is one of the fundamentals that guides me in all my investments, and that guides even the investments of our organization as a whole. So I'm giving each and every one of us here same thing I use. So I think I qualify to teach and share on investments on every platform. I had my background in investment banking, 7 years, 4 months, and came into real estate. Next month, May 2nd exactly, will make it exactly 9 years we've been operating this business. So if you add that together, that's 16 years plus or so. So 16 years of hard work, both through research, experience, losses and gains. I think I qualify to share on the subject of investment. And now it's important I share here, and the reason why I dedicate so much time in sharing things like this is to guide people to make quality investment decisions, not necessarily with Lifepage, even though that's also one of the vehicles or one of the platforms you could as well invest in. But essentially, you'll be armed with useful tools and information that anytime opportunities, so-called opportunities, are presented to you, you are able to make wise investment decisions. I remember a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity, the good fortune of meeting one of the executive directors of Punch newspapers. And I remembered going with a few of my managers at the time, the company I used to work then. I remembered the woman met us at a particular lounge, and she said, "Oh yeah, convince me." I'll never forget. I could see that our guard was up there, because we live in an environment where it's very difficult to trust. A lot of people have had their fingers burnt. A lot of people have made decisions they thought was right, and then it ended up, on a messy note. On a very terrible note. So you find out that loads of people, "Oh, good evening, ma'am. Mrs. Sumpa, thank you for joining, ma'am. Good to see you. All right, so I told her that day, I would never forget. I said, "Madam, please calm down. I am not here to convince you. I'm here to educate you so you can make informed decisions." So my objective, anybody who knows me, anybody who has had dealings with me would know, my first interaction with you, even if I'm coming to represent my organization before your organization or before you, my intention is first to clear whatever it is, to give you some information, and then you can decide. I don't take it personal when people make a decision not to buy from me. Why? It may just not be the right time for them. They may not have the means, but they would have been harmed with the relevant information. And that's pretty much my focus tonight, in as much as I'm going to still share a few other opportunities that we have within our organization, and you can leverage the information I'm providing to decide. "Oh, you can't hear me at all." Somebody's saying you can't hear me. Please, if you can hear me, type 1 in the chat room on Zoom. If you can't hear me, please type 2 so I can know what to do. I have fiber cable in my house so I can easily switch. We can't hear. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Audio quality is not good. Someone is saying. Okay, so let me see if I can quickly switch. 1 minute, please. Let me see if I can switch quickly. Okay, can you hear me now? Is it better now? If you can hear me now, please type 1 in the chat room. If it is better now, please type 1 in the chat room. Excellent, excellent. All right, so okay, so good. So I remember telling the woman, I said, sorry, madam, please relax. I'm not here to convince you. Because when people have made a part with their hard-earned funds and invested in certain schemes, investment platforms, investment products, even with banks, even with insurance, and people have had their fingers burnt, and it appears as though people don't settle down to understand exactly what they're going into before parting with their hard-earned funds. And for that reason, a lot of people miscalculate, either overinvest, or a situation where there can be mismatch of funds, where funds that ought to be meant for school fees, you don't put it in a long-term instrument, for example, or funds that you require for your house rents 1 year time, you don't put it in a long-term investment instrument. Neither do you also put long-term funds into short-term investment instruments. So I just want to give you 4 tips to guide us on how to invest wisely. So I call these 4 components of wise investment. So in any country of the world you find yourself, no matter the investment instrument that is being presented to you, what I'm about to share will guide your decisions. Decisions is what make destiny, and the quality of your financial decisions, quality of your financial destiny cannot be better than the quality of your financial decisions. And like I often say, the quality of your financial decisions cannot be better than the quality of your financial information. So my intention is to provide information, quality information, and then you make quality financial decisions, whether with us or with any other firm. And then, of course, it will lead you to a happy ending. All right. So the first component of wise investment is, why do you want to invest? Why do you want to invest? A lot of times people ask the wrong questions. They ask, what do I invest in? What do I do? No. Why do I want to invest? What's even the purpose of the fund in your hands available to you? All right. I have a good cousin of mine who is doing a couple of projects here in Nigeria. And for whatever reason, because over the years growing up, I mean, he's much older than I am, he has come to trust me, and just the same for most people in my family, most people in my around me. Most people who know me personally don't have problems trusting me. And so because of the project he wants to execute, he will often send money to my account. And I have records. In fact, the record is right here in front of me. So everything he sends, he will send me information. Yeah, send it to this person, send it to that person, and all of those things. Now, that kind of fund, there are people who say, sorry, I don't need this fund now. There could be people who will meet you. I don't have anyone who has told me, please keep this money for me. I don't need it now. Maybe for the next 2 years, I don't even think I need it now. But if I have such kind of fund that someone is keeping in my custody and say, sorry, I don't need this fund for the next 2 years, I know where I can keep such funds to ultimately protect the value of that fund. All right. So the point I'm trying to make in a nutshell is, you need to define exactly your why. I must submit to you today, the most important question you would ever ask in your life is the question why, not the question what, not the question how. The truth of the matter is, when you know your why will reveal your what, and your what ultimately will lead to your how. And that is that is how this goes. That is how this goes. So your why, are you investing for capital gain? You just want to increase the value of this fund over the next 12 months, over the next 18 months or 20 months or so, as the case may be. Or are you investing for cash flow? There are businesses, a part of our own strategy. I'm not sure our management will be too comfortable if I bring out some of our own secrets, some of our own trade secrets. But let me give you this. As of today, as I speak to you, what every month, what my family need to keep up the obligation, I have it provided for. Now, let me say this. This is very, very important. I mentioned this. Let me say this. Even if you have ₦1 billion and that ₦1 billion is not earning extra income, if you continue to, in order to maintain your current lifestyle, that fund will continue to deplete with time. It's just a matter of time. It will deplete with time. But if your principal fund is generating for you extra cash flow, now depending on your objective, which is why the first question is very, very important. Why exactly do you want to invest? Sometimes you may want to invest for capital gain. Some other times you want to just invest for cash flow. In some other instances, you even want both. And so what you want to earn, your objective is what will ultimately determine the instrument you should embrace. Yes, I repeat that again. The objective of that fund is ultimately what should determine the instrument, the investment instrument or vehicle that you should embrace. Not all investment instruments or vehicle are suitable for everyone. Most retirees, for example, are often concerned about cash flow because at this point in time, they are no longer in active working life, and for them at that point in time, they need something that will be generating steady cash flow to keep body and soul together. So at that point in time, you want a situation where the proceeds from your investment is able to keep your body and soul together. So if somebody asks if a retiree has 10 million, what's it called now? Somebody who is actively working has 10 million naira. Their objective most likely will be different, and so should the instrument they invest in would be different. And so this is very, very important. So ultimately, your why is what defines your what. And once you can clearly define what you want, if I have the opportunity of meeting with you, I can guide you, and that's essentially one of the questions I will be taking in a moment. Number two is, this is what people often don't like to appraise, and that is the question of how much can you afford to lose? This talks about risk tolerance. How much risk can you tolerate? You see, you need to understand that there is no such thing as risk-free investments. No such thing anywhere in the world. There is no such thing as risk-free investments. There are only low-risk investments, high-risk investments, or moderately risky investments. All right, so there's no such thing as, because there's a correlation between how much risk, between risk and return. The higher the risk, the greater the return. The lower the risk, the lower the return. So there's no such thing. So even if you keep your funds, I hope you know, let me say this here. I hope you know, for those of you who may not be aware, a lot of us are comfortable keeping our monies in the bank. But what we don't realize is this, and go and research this, go and investigate. Hope you know that even though your bank deposits are insured by NDIC, all right, your deposits in banks are insured by NDIC. Hope you know that it is only insured to the limit of 500,000 naira. Hope you know that your bank deposit is insured to 500. That's the limit. But you are comfortable keeping your money in the bank because you know that anytime you want it, you will meet it there. Yes, there's regulator. Before pre-consolidation era in 2003, before 2004, a lot of banks went under. Not many banks survived. Some were acquired, some merged, and some fizzled out into thin air. So what's the key point I'm trying to make? The point is that you need to appraise your risk. How much? And then risk is essentially, in layman term, is the probability of loss or gain. So the same, just like success and failure are equal distance, that's the same way profit and loss are equal distance. What it takes to fail is what it takes to succeed. What it takes to make, so the same way somebody can tell you, what if you lose money? It's the same way you can say, what if you make money? All right, so you have to appraise that. Now, why is this very important? I call this scenario planning. It helps you are asking yourself, what's the worst case scenario? What is the worst thing that can happen with this my investment? And it will help you to put structures in place in terms of agreements, contracts, in terms of probably insurance. We have a couple of developments that's ongoing as we speak right now, housing development. And pre-construction, we put contractors' risk insurance in place. Why? If in the course of the development there is a crisis that pulls down the same structure, or maybe there's just a crisis that affects that is a structural defect or whatever it is. I'm just giving you that as an example. Insurance will pay it. So if you have already pumped in, say, $1 billion into a housing development project, and there's a crisis on site, it means that insurance will take care of it. Now, if we don't factor that in our planning, if you don't envisage the likely risk, you won't know what to put in place to mitigate such risk. And this is very, very important. A lot of people don't know that. Now, that also includes legal, meaning that the type of contract you will sign, to know what are the terms of what you are entering into. A lot of times, people don't ask, what are the terms? What do I stand to gain? Is this guaranteed? Okay, so ask questions. I always tell people, anybody who feels uncomfortable, any platform, any investment platform that feels uncomfortable, answering your questions before you part with your hard-earned funds, is not qualified for your fund. And that's pretty much one of the reasons why we are having this conversation. Oh, sorry. Can you still hear me, please? All of you on Zoom, can you still hear me? If you can hear me, let me know. If you can hear me, let me know. Okay, good. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So you want to assess the risk. The attendant risk associated with that particular investment. 2, then your own risk tolerance, your own risk appetite. So it is dual in nature. So some people are risk averse. They just don't want trouble. So you need to evaluate your own risk appetite and then also evaluate the attendant risk associated with such funds. I have loads of proteges who in recent time have made very wrong investment decisions, and some of them have gotten back to me. They are really, really feeling gloomy and all of those things. And these are some of the things I usually guide people through. Now, this is very important. I must say this before I move on to other things. Every time there is a promise of great return, it comes with high level of risk. So most times we embrace the return, but we don't evaluate the risk. And that's the missing link for a lot of people. And because we often don't evaluate the risk, we put all our eggs in one basket. If you have evaluated, there are many strategies you can deploy, like diversification, like insurance, all sorts. I remembered an insurance firm approached us recently, even though we have our own registered insurance firm. And they approached us and shared with us that, sorry, some of the people are buying to your project. If anyone subscribing to a project, maybe a 3-bedroom apartment, and is unable to complete it for a number of reasons, let's assume for loss of job, or death, or permanent disability, that there's an insurance coverage that can cover such an individual, such that in the event there is death, the insurance company will be the one to complete the payment for the person, and the family will still have the assets. It was amazing for me. It was enlightening, because actually one of the developments we had last year, we had someone who subscribed to that project, and the only payment the person made was just initial deposit, and because the person eventually passed on, and now the family can't even continue with that transaction. But if there was that evaluation of risk, of course, we didn't have this opportunity, we didn't have this insight at that time. Otherwise, we would have been able to expose our clients. And I'm bringing that up so that, because every time people want to make investment, they only focus on how much will I get. They are not focused on what is the probability of losing this money, and let that guide their strategy. So if you have 10 million or 100 million, so you probably would need to commit a fraction that you can afford to, to take high risk with. Some proportion of your funds may not go for too high a risk. You commit it to high risk investment. Some other fund is moderate risk that you can commit it to. Some other funds you can commit it to very low risk. So in such instances, you just want to put it where you know that anytime, any day, you can always access your fund. So this is very important. So ask yourself, how much can you afford to lose, and what can go wrong if your investment fails. So what will go wrong? That will determine whether you want to commit this much, or you want to commit so little, or it will inform a lot of things. And so please take note of that. Number 3 is how much profit is fair enough for the risk that you are exposed to. Like I said, there is no such thing as risk-free investments. There are only low risk, moderately risky, and high risk investments. So you want to ask yourself, for this risk I'm taking, how much return on investment? That's why if you keep your money in fixed deposit, for example, the return on investment is very, very low. But the probability of loss of that is also low. All right. So, but if you also are looking for some higher return, you want to check. For example, if you invest, say, 10 million naira with Lifepage in MILLIONHOME Swift Plus, you are eligible for 50% guaranteed return in 18 months. Now, no bank will give you that. No bank in the world can give you that. The reality is, you also want to evaluate. You now evaluate the risk of that investment. So what are you people putting the money into? So do I need this type, with this return on investment fair for the kind of risk I'm willing to tolerate? And then you measure that. I wish I can go on and on, but time wouldn't really permit me to go further. So how much profit, I beg your pardon, how much profit is fair enough for the risk you are exposed to? So we are talking about return on investment here. Return on investment. So how much return on investment are you? So because it is directly proportional to the risk that you are willing to take. And finally, number 4, so that we can take questions and then we can open us up to other things, is the number 4 question you need to ask is, how much time do you have to recoup your capital plus investments? How much time do you have, all right, to recoup your capital plus investments? So this talks about time. So the first one is objective. The second one is risk tolerance or risk appraisal. 3 is how much return on investment do you think or consider fair enough for the risk you are taking. And then number 4 is how much time do you have. And now this is what I normally share with people. Every time, and please take note of this, every time you invest, the return on investment is parallel to the time. So there's a duration or tenure. All right. So sometimes the shorter the time, the lower the return. The longer the time, the higher the return. Because time, for most people who may not know, time is the greatest resource when it comes to investment. And so to avoid mismatch of funds, I said that earlier on, to avoid mismatch of funds, one of the things you also want to evaluate is this fund, I will need it in the next 12 months. I will need to pay my children's school fees. So now they're on Easter break, or they're on second term break now. So another school fees is going to be knocking door in another couple of weeks. So you won't carry that school fees and go and put it in an investment that will not produce any return until another 12 months. So it is when people commit short-term funds it's when they commit long-term funds into short-term instruments that they put pressure on those funds, and that's why they are likely to lose such funds. I don't know if I'm making any sense here. If you can still hear me, please type 5 in the chat room. If you can hear me, please type 5 in the chat room. All right, so sorry, please. So So how much time do you have? So if you need to pay school fees, your wife is pregnant, and in 9 months she will deliver. It's 5 months, 9 months notice. So you won't go and do 1 year investment, 12 months investment, and you now say it's because you did an investment. It's because these are some of the things. So how much time do you have for this particular fund? Those are the things that you appraise every time you want to make an investment decisions. And I'm sure this has been helpful. We don't have much time, so that we can take questions, and then we can also share a few opportunities that we have within our organization. I want to thank you all for your listening attention. If you have any question, please drop them in the chat room. For those of you on Zoom and those of you on Instagram, please feel free to drop your comments or your questions, and I'll be very delighted to answer them. Okay. Right. So while we're waiting for questions to come in, Lifepage Group is an investment holding company, and we have devoted interest in real estate, investment, housing, and construction. We have several other subsidiaries and SBUs within the organization. But essentially, we have one flagship product we call Million Homes. Million Homes it's also a company. It's one of the subsidiaries of the company. And we have a simple mantra we call live here or make it fund your living. Live here or make it fund your living. Basically, what that means is you have an opportunity to buy into some of our housing development projects, or you also have an opportunity to invest. So you are either buying for use, for personal use, or you are investing into those projects for return, for cash returns. All right. So those are the opportunities that we have on this platform called Million Homes, and that will be my focus. So on the housing bits, so there are two bits. The Million Homes runs on two legs. So there's the investment part to Million Homes. There's also the housing bit to Million Homes. The housing part is when you are buying a housing product. Maybe you're buying an apartment or buying a house. All right. So we have different developments ongoing as we speak. We have Orange Terraces in Millennium Estate, Bagada. And we have amazing packages, right, that you can buy into, or if you have family, friends that are interested, also they can buy into it. So up to 5-year payment plan. And you know, the interesting thing about some of these payment plans that we have is the fact that your initial deposit, after your first initial deposit and second payment, you can move in, and then you spread the remaining balance over the next 3 to 5 years. Also, we have 12-month payment plan, 6 to 12-month payment plan. All of it are very, very convenient. So if you're doing a 12-month payment plan, it's just 55 million, 4-bedroom duplex. It's fully serviced. The estate is very secured, very secured. Yes, God is our security, but for anybody who wants to come and visit you in this place, they need to book ahead, just to be sure that you need passage of way or something before you can be allowed in. Security is really very tight. Apart from that, it's also very serene, and then you find people like yourself within this place. The beautiful thing about Orange Terraces in Millennium Estate is the fact that it shares good proximity with International Airport or Victoria Island. So within 25 minutes you're in Victoria Island. Within 25 minutes also you are also at the International Airport. So for someone who is thinking of, who has business or have any cost to go to any of these side of Lagos, Bagada is quite central and strategic for commuting. And so this is it's going to be fully finished now. The development is ongoing, so it's important I establish that the development is ongoing. It's 4-bedroom, all ensuite duplexes. It has family lounge, apart from the living room, which is spacious. It has parking space for 2 cars per unit. And of course, like I said, it's within the gated estates, gated community, very secured. Kitchen cabinets and wardrobes comes into all the apartments. There's exterior finishes, interior finishes. There's 24-hour security and CCTV surveillance. The apartment comes with POP ceiling, wall screeding and all of that, and of course painting, everything. Then of course alternative power supply. All right, so that's about Orange Terraces. So we have 6 to 12 month payment plan. The total amount is 55 million, and then down payment is just 14.2 million, and then you spread your balance over a 12-month period at 3.4 million. I'm sorry I'm rushing. If you need more information, please, you need further, maybe you want to conduct an inspection, or you need further clarity on what we're sharing, it would be nice if you drop, there's a link in the chat room. Emmanuel, can you please drop the link so that we can reach out to you? Just fill that link. For those of you who also maybe joining on Instagram, please, I would appreciate if we can also drop that link for people to drop their contact so that we can reach out to them and provide them adequate information. Please never invest in what you do not understand. Investigate before you invest. Investigate before you invest. Investigate before you invest. All right, so down payment is 14.2 million, and monthly that is the 6 to 12 month payment plan. We have 3 years payment plan. Now in the 3-year payment plan arrangement, the total package is 61 million, but you pay 25 million down payment. Now there's no monthly payment in this. Now we have just limited units for this arrangement, so it's good I mentioned that. The second payment will come 12 months after your initial deposit. Upon your second installment, you move into the apartment. Now you can start using, or the apartment can start to yield or generate rental income for you, but it's until you complete your payment. So your payment will be 12 million every other year. So if, for example, you make 25 million naira deposit now, 12 months time, you deposit 12 million. You move into the house. The next 12 months, you pay another 12 million. The house is not yet fully yours. By the third time, when you are making the third 12 million naira deposit, the house will now be fully yours. And the house will be fully yours. And then there will be deed of transfer, deed of assignments, and all the documents for your apartment will now be given to you. So it comes terms and conditions. Now, there's also a 5-year plan, and we have, hello? All right, so Mr. Kende, I will answer your question this very quickly before we proceed. And then 70 million is 5-year payment plan. Your initial deposit is just 20 million, and then you spread 10 million every other year for the next, excuse me please. Hello. Still hear me, please? If you can hear me, let me know. If you can hear me, please let me know. If you can hear me, let me know. If you can hear me, just type yes, 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 if you can hear me. Okay, good. So 5-year payment plan for the Orange Terraces. There's a 4-bedroom terrace, 4-bedroom all ensuite. So, and then we have different payment plans. But the beautiful thing about the 3 and 5-year payment plan is that your installment is on an annual basis. The initial deposit is all you need to make. The second deposit gives you occupation of the house, and then upon completion of the payment, then the transfer of title and documents of the apartment will now be given to you. All you pay is just 10 million naira. Other details can be provided if you need further information. We don't have so much time. We have We used to have Orange Apartment, but that one is sold out now. Orange Apartment in Didiolu Oba. That one is already fully built. We already have tenants. I'm sorry, I said tenants. We already have people living in there as we speak right now. Subscribers who have already moved in, and it's almost done with that particular project. Okay, so then we have what we call Almond Homes and Apartments. This one is in Agbowa, Ikorodu. And the beautiful thing about this location is the fact that, like I often tell people, where you live, you don't have to live where you own. You can be a landlord and be a tenant at the same time. This is essentially these are budget bungalows, and it may fit into your current budget, and it may satisfy your investment objective. As of today, Ikorodu has the highest rental yield in Lagos, Nigeria. A lot of people may not know that, but Ikorodu has the highest rental yield in Lagos. So if you are thinking of, and it's one of the most populous regions in Lagos, so the traffic on that axis is phenomenal. But traffic also communicates money, communicates revenue. So you can build houses not for you to live necessarily, but for other people to live. And it's also within a gated community in Agbowa, perimeter fence and security, floor tiles, access road, piping and plumbing fittings, electrical fittings, and a couple of other things. So the payment plans span up to 60 months. And we have 12 months, we have 0 to 12 months, and we have 60 months payment plan. Now, we have just 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom flats available in this particular place. So if you are interested, all you need to do is just make a down payment. So if you are doing a 0 to 12 month payment plan, it's 4.75 million naira for 1 bedroom flat, and it's 345,850 naira monthly deposit you would need to make if you are subscribing into this. And one of the key things I must say here is the reason why we also focus more on 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom apartments in this particular location is because that is actually what is in demand. That's what is in high demand within that axis. All right, so nobody really wants to go and stay in a 3 bedroom duplex or in 3 bedroom flat. All right, so even though that's also available in those regions, but this is why we focus on that. We did our survey before we did that. And then you can do also 60-month payment plan of 90,000 naira every month. That accumulates to 5.9 million naira over 60 months period. But take note of this: your initial and down payment is just 500,000 naira. So once you make 500,000 naira deposit, you can start spreading. Now the beautiful thing again about this particular location is the fact that if you make a deposit of if you are able to pay up to half, 50% of the total sum in 12 months, you'll be able to move in. So you pay 50% and you park in, and then you can still spread the remaining balance over the next 4 years. So that's the beautiful thing again about this. Now for 2 bedroom apartment or 2 bedroom flat, the same thing applies. You make a 1 million deposit for 60-month payment plan, and then once you are able to do half of the amount, half of the sum of the product, you can pack in, and then you spread your remaining balance over the next 60 months. All right, so that's the bits on. So if you need more information, please see those contacts in the chat room. 090 for those of you who may be joining on Instagram, call the numbers 090 6000 5737 or 090 6000 5747. All right, or you can send a mail to find us at lifepagegroup.com. Find us at lifepagegroup.com. And then for those of you joining me on Instagram, you can DM me for more information, and I'll be very delighted to guide you through the process. All right, so let me talk quickly on the investment bit. So the investment bit is basically those who can't afford to buy a 70 million, a 55 million, a 61 million naira property. So such people can, you can take advantage of that. But if you can't afford to buy a property, or that is not your objective, you already have your own house, you can also invest along with other people in this type of project and also get very attractive return on investment. Now, please let me say this categorically. People have often asked me, how easy is it to generate this type of return on investment? Now, it's important to establish that these are all close-ended offerings. They are opportunity-focused investments. So these are not opportunities that will constantly be available. So, and it is when there are opportunities we can explore. That's when we bring this type of opportunities to the fore. So it's important I mention that. Why should you invest in MILLIONHOME? Why should you invest? In this particular case, you should invest because there's professional and astute investment management. There's competitive and assured return on investments. We have subscription platform is easy and hitch-free. Everything is digitally driven. So regardless of where you are in the world, you are able to take advantage of it. There's also opportunity for lifetime passive income. Some of the people who buy into our development are buying it for short-let purposes, and then it's going to give them rental income for life. And low startup, flexible and multiple investment options. So there are many opportunities, investment options you can explore. And of course, it also saves you time. So you basically put your money down, your money work hard for you while you sleep, while you go to sleep. All right. Then liquidity at maturity. In almost 8 years, August 1st will make it exactly 8 years. We've been running and administering an investment platform like this, and we've never had one default. Not once. We've had people invest as little as 10,000, 5,000 naira. We've had people invest as high as hundreds of millions. So let me not expose too many things. So hundreds of millions, never had a default once. Okay. So we have let me just mention 3 major investment opportunities that you can take advantage of under the MILLIONHOMES platform. You can go to invest.millionhomes Africa. If you want to invest, you can go to housing.millionhomesafrica.com. But more importantly, to get proper guidance, I would recommend that you click on the link we provided in the chat room for those of you joining on Zoom. And for those of you joining me on Instagram, you can just DM me, I want to know more. So that'd be nice. And I'll take you through the process or share with you the information that you require. All right. So we have MILLIONHOMES Flex. This is basically a piecemeal investment, so you can accumulate capital. You can build up funds for future projects, maybe college education for your children, or maybe a business you want to start when you resign from your current paid employment, or you want to build a house, or whatever it is that you want to do. You can build up capital. We have people who do 10,000, 100,000, 200,000 naira monthly investment, and all that. So you can take advantage of that. That's MILLIONHOMES Flex. We also have, and that's, you can run a 12-month to 16-month investment plan in that regard, and the tenure you choose will determine the return on investment. We also have MILLIONHOMES Swift. MILLIONHOMES Swift, you invest a minimum of 500,000 naira. Minimum investment 500,000 naira per slot. You can buy as many slots as possible. If you do a 12-month tenure, you get 20% guaranteed return on investment. If you run an 18-month tenure, you get 40% guaranteed return in 18 months. All right, so that means if you invest 500,000 naira in 18 months, you are going to be getting 700,000 naira. So that's pretty much, 750,000. 700,000. I beg your pardon, 700,000 naira by the end of 18 months. And then if you are running MILLIONHOMES Swift Plus, the MILLIONHOMES Swift Plus is slightly different on 2 grounds. One, the minimum capital is 10 million. 2, it's for minimum duration of 18 months. But the return on investment is 50% guaranteed. So if you invest 10 million naira, it means that in 18 months, you're getting back 15 million naira, 10 million capital, 5 million naira return on investments. And so And then we have what we call Million Homes Light. Now this will be very, very good for most retirees. This is like a substitute to treasury bills or fixed deposits, and it's a better substitute. The beauty of this particular are not, if you do not intend to roll over. So these are the opportunities that exist. So if you do 10 million naira for a 12-month investment, you get 12.5%. What that means is you'll be getting 1.25 million naira upfront. At the end of 12 months, you get your 10 million naira back. If you leave that fund for 18 months, you get 2 million naira upfront, and then you get your 10 million naira after 18 months. Those are the opportunities that are available. I want to take questions now for the next. So I would take questions for more minutes because I've spoken for so long. It's good to hear everybody speak. So it's over to you now. If you have any question, please feel free to ask me any questions within what I shared in the beginning on the components of wise investment, or around the opportunities that we have. Olariwaju has a question. I apologize. Can you please unmute or drop your questions? Drop your questions, and then drop your question in the chat room, please, if you don't mind. I appreciate that. Olariwaju, please drop your questions in the chat room. So please, for those of you on Zoom, please type your questions in the chat room. For those of you on Instagram, feel free to drop your questions as well. Thank you. Okay, and then please don't forget the links are there. For those of you on Instagram, you can DM me for any information you require. I'll be very delighted to supply you information about what we are offering or what we're doing. I will also be leaving this video on my Instagram TV, so you may want to watch the replay just in case you're just joining now. Okay. Somebody is asking, Victor is asking, is the investment a low risk or no risk investment? If you recall, I did mention that the risk you should appraise is not just the risk associated, the attendant risk associated with that particular investment. You should also appraise but some individuals have low risk, they're just risk averse. But this investment, to a very large extent, and I'll tell you why it is. Somebody once asked me, says, what's the worst thing that will happen? I said, we will sell the property now. So we are using the fund to fund properties, to acquire properties and sell, do development. We have a vision. Thank you for your people have often asked us this type of question. So we are talking to people that we know, and as a legal entity, we're basically leveraging the fact that we can issue promissory notes as a legal entity, and then we can also we can lend money, we can also borrow money. So it's on that legal platform that we are doing this. So, and that's why we are reaching out to the people we know. So, but once we decide to go public, we're working on a couple of things to bring some degree of regulation to this. But we are playing currently under the Real Estate Development Association of Nigeria. We are members of Real Estate Development Association of Nigeria, and every developer have ways by which they fund their projects. And for us, this is how we fund our own projects. At this point in time, we certainly will not continue to do this, and that's why I said earlier that this is just these are close-ended offers, and then once the time is over, we will not open it up anymore. Some persons have asked, what's the guarantee of this investment? What makes the capital and interest guaranteed? Yes, so first is that we basically apply these funds in what is most secure, which is real estate. Real estate is the only real investment in Nigeria, and not only Nigeria, anywhere in the world, but in Nigeria in particular. Lagos has the highest population of people in Nigeria. Apart from that, rural urban migration is very, very high to Lagos. More than 500 people visit Lagos every 1 hour, never return. And so, what else? And Lagos has the smallest landmass, and that's pretty much going to increase demand. So there's a lot of opportunities, and there's nowhere else in Africa where the value of real estate appreciates like it does in Lagos, which is why we've also concentrated here in Lagos. Of the 21 million plus housing deficits in Nigeria, 1/3 of that is in Lagos. So the opportunities are actually more in Lagos. It doesn't mean that there are no opportunities elsewhere, but there are more opportunities here in Lagos. So what makes it guaranteed is that, number one, we also have appraised our risks. I mentioned that earlier in the course of my presentation, that in evaluating the risk you are taking, you also want to know what are the things you're going to put in place to mitigate the attendant risks associated with these investments. So one of the fundamental things that we do as a company is during construction, right? We have insurance arrangement with AXA Mansard. Those are our insurance partners, and then that covers during construction. Then post-construction, once the house is delivered, we also do comprehensive insurance on those property, and so that's pretty much how these ones are done. Yeah, I hope I've answered that question. So those are things that gives us some degree, and then we have a very large marketing force to sell whatever it is that we create ultimately. So, and there's great demand. This is not the first time we're doing this. We've been doing this for years. We have several years behind us in doing this. Okay, so some persons. Okay, so I think I've answered that question. Thank you for your time. Would there be any deduction from the interest accrued to one's investment, e.g. admin charges or statutory deductions? The answer is yes and no. The truth is yes, because there is a withholding charge on the interest that your investment attracts, but it's only on the interest, right? Not on your principal. It does not in any way affect the principal. Does not in any way affect the principal. Forgive me, please. 1 minute, please. Apologize, please. Yes, so yes, so that's about that. So those are the statutory deductions mainly. Then, do you have guaranteed off-takers? How did you perform during the pandemic? Oh, phenomenally. We did extremely well. One of the things that prepared us the most for the pandemic, even as of today, our business can apart from construction, everything can actually run remotely. We have a system that supports that already. In the events, there's another worldwide lockdown. So in terms of guaranteed off-takers, one of the things we've done is we've done a lot of surveys, a lot of market surveys. We know where the demand is, and those are the areas where we are focused in our developments. So it will interest you that some of the projects we launched within the pandemic period were sold out in a couple of weeks. So it's no longer rocket science for us. It's something that we've mastered in many ways. I came in late. Please, can you avail me with the video? Best regards. Oh, please just follow me on Instagram at OLADIPUPO Clem. I will leave the video there for you to watch. And just check my IGTV and watch it there. All right. So please, is the return on investment taxable? Yes, that's what I mentioned earlier. Withholding tax, it's 10%. So how do we redeem your promissory note? As I see a key man risk here. Is there a strong succession plan? I love your questions, honestly, and I do truly appreciate those questions. So yes, there is. The business doesn't revolve around me. You can check us out on lifepagegroup.com. We have a board, we have management, strong management, and we have several other professionals on the team who make things work. So it doesn't revolve around me. I'm the group CEO of the company, not the final say. So yes, I think that answers that question. So I understand your questions, and I know when a business appears to revolve around just one person. The biggest issue is that, okay, I trust you, but how am I sure that the system can run in case you are unavailable or what have you? Yeah. So that's the kind of system we run. We are very focused, we're forward looking and focused on the future. And let me also allay your fears. If you doubt anything, one of the key things I always say to people is take your time. Investigate us a bit more. Probably schedule a meeting. I don't mind granting you audience, and then for you to even meet us and all of that. And then also, if you must invest because these investments are not going to be available forever, you may want to part with only a little fund that you can afford to lose. That doesn't mean you are going to lose the money, but just to test us. And that's really what other people have done, or what I've encouraged people to do over time. I mentioned earlier, probably you joined in late, that next month, May 2nd exactly, will make it 9 years. And in 9 years of this company, we've not had one lawsuit. We've not had occasion where we default on anybody, not once. So there's a lot that has gone into this. One thing that we are known for is integrity, and I know it's a word that a lot of people play around with these days. So in fact, in 9 years, we've never defaulted on even salaries, not once. It has never happened. Even when we're broke, when we're small, when we're very, very small, never, not once, never, not once. So to all our stakeholders and all of those things, never. So we keep our promise. That's one thing that I can tell you. There's a system that powers everything we do here. All right. So we recognize we are not building the business to feed our family. We are building for legacy. Yeah. So that's on that. Yes. Okay. So does the return on investment mean applicable interest rates? Yes, ma'am. That's another way to look at it. So yes, return on investment mean return on ROI means return on investment. Yes. I would like to have a meeting. I want to do 10 million swift. All right, that's fine. If you want it live, let me know. You can make those calls. You can call any of those, and then we can schedule a meeting. I will be delighted to meet you personally. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Ibironke. I think Ibironke is feminine. I'm not sure. All right. So please just send a message to any of those numbers there. Those are our hotlines. Those are our official lines. And then they would. So Emmanuel, please take note of that. RMU, you guys should take note of that, so that just in case she reaches out, I'll be very delighted to meet her personally. Yeah. Okay. So of retirees who would love some kind of return on investment. So we have, so that one is a minimum of 10 million, and you get, what's it called now? You get 12.5%, 12 months, 12.5% for 12 months investments, and then 20% 18 months. So if you're leaving the 10 million for 18 months, you get 2 million naira upfront, meaning that 10 months, for only 12 months, I beg your pardon, you get 1.25 million naira upfront. So you get your return on investment upfront, and then your principal, you get it back upon the maturity of that investment. And then you can still decide to roll over. Thank you so much, Beckers, Julius. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. All right. Yeah, no, not a problem. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything that you have done. Thank you. Okay, so I think we're good. We're good here. We're good here. So if there's any more question,